Nation, happy Thursday. Here to crush some craft whiskeys with you all. Brian is by my side, and hopefully we have a much better, much smoother broadcast. It's a little staticky in the test, so we don't really have our hopes up necessarily. But we'll give it a little bit of time. Brian's here to just pitch in as I try and avoid getting absolutely sloshed while tasting a plethora of craft whiskeys, mainly from Georgia tonight. But before I get into the rundown, what we'll be tasting, Brian, why don't you say hi to the nice people?
What's up, squad? I've got my own little flight I'll probably be doing today while Drew gets crunk.
Are those all Buffalo Trace picks? Is that what I see back there?
Yeah, there was a local group that was doing a release of a pick today. So I just figured, why not have my favorite bourbon on display for the Buffalo Trace release pick?
Is it really?
On April 1st.
Oh, got it. Your favorite bourbon. No, I wouldn't hate on Buffalo Trace, but yeah, it's far from my favorite. Far from my favorite. It's a nice it's actually a good ease into the evening kind of whiskey, I feel like. Like if you're really trying to ease in. Like that's what I had tonight. I had a Buffalo Trace pick because I was like, I need something light. I don't want to blow my palate or my tolerance out of the water just right out of the gate. So let's ease in. Got a lot of whiskey to taste. Tonight, we're going to hydrate. This is water. And we're tasting a bunch of Georgia craft whiskeys. Given to me by Rod, who's in the chat, and William Wiley. So we got Rod and William sponsoring tonight's show. And we're going to start out with a flight in just a little bit of 4 whiskeys from ASW. This is a sampler. Of course, Rod taped it up so I could taste them blind if I wanted to, which I will. This is a flight of whiskeys from ASW Distillery in Atlanta. And these are very different. Like we're not talking about all bourbons here. We got a high wheat bourbon, a rye, we got a double malt, and then we've got a peated single malt. So, I mean, 4 whiskeys, I should be able to tell, you would hope which was which. And we'll get into that in a little bit. First, let's review our week in whiskey. Not whiskey related. I'm hoping I don't even know where to start. I got my second round of the vaccine today. So my arm's a little bit sore, not as bad as last time. When I got round 1, I got the Pfizer vaccine. When I got round 1, my arm was like, oh dang, hurt real bad. Round 2 does not hurt as bad, and I'm just hoping to avoid any kind of like fever. I just didn't feel great. I felt okay, but I didn't feel great after round 1. But I got a tea time with Eric Sawyer on Saturday morning. We're going to play a nice course in the area, so I don't want to feel poopy Saturday morning. That's the goal. I can feel super poopy tomorrow, as long as I don't feel poopy Saturday. Tom Lynch says, get the vax. I agree. Or he says, cheers to the vax. I feel good. I feel good having gotten it. I feel like I'm ready to go. I'm not going to go just prancing around doing dumb things, but I am glad that the success rate for protection from the vaccine has been so high, and I'm glad to have gotten it as early as I have. Whiskey-wise, I added another of the Bardstown Discovery Series Batch 4. So that whiskey is in my favorites right now. Actually, I'll probably have a little bit of this before I move into the craft whiskeys. And so I've been glad to make sure I have some for the future. That, and I was offered the Jefferson's Cognac Finished Rye. Didn't want that. What else? Did I get anything else? I think that's it, squad. Brian, how was your whiskey week? Maybe you didn't hear that. Yeah, I asked you.
So I also got round 2 of the vaccine yesterday, and for the most part today, I was out. But all of a sudden, around 7 o'clock, I got a second wind, So, in terms of whiskey, picked up the Heaven Hill Select stock toasted barrel proof this week, which is to put it against the Parker's Heavy Char. Just do a little side by side. We're on here. Rod asked where my W hat was. Well, Rod, if you must know, I have about 30 hats, mostly Ebbets Field. So I rotate. And when Kyle Ramage was in town with us to do the Starlight picks, he brought me this hat because a couple years ago, before he was the U.S. Barista Champion, I had given him one of my Ebbets Field hats that he didn't have.
You have to trade.
Return in the favor.
Yeah, have to. Sweet.
Yeah.
So that select stock.
Yeah. I'm just nosing them right now. I'm going to open my notes, so I'll be out of the chat for just a short bit while I take some notes doing that. Just got done with a little Instagram stuff. That was a blast. I love tasting whiskeys with folks. So a little warm up prior to jumping on here, and I knew that I wanted to occupy myself with something while you went through Craft Whiskies. But for Nation to know, we are getting more updates, which we know that they are bottled and they are being shipped to the destination of where they will be orderable for you all. So it is getting closer. I don't know how close that before us, and he's got them in hand drinking them right now. So I would say within a week's time, maybe we'll have the logistics working.
Hope so. So that's, yeah, if you guys didn't hear, if Brian cut out a little bit, the Starlight picks, that's what he's talking about. So yeah, they've been bottled and they're getting shipped to Seal Box in short order. And then we should have them available via link for Patreon supporters, of which there are quite a few now. I appreciate Nation, those of you who contribute so generously to the channel. Where Brian and I are going to talk here in the next couple of days about some new podcast topics, so we can try and bang some of those out. We also should talk about the next Kentucky trip, because now that baby's here, summer's warming up, we should get something on the calendar. Sure. Get another string of content flowing. I would just thought, as I tasted that Bardstown Discovery Batch 4, that may not have been the best calibration whiskey to have before I get in and go after the craft whiskeys. But in the show notes, squad, if you do want to support the Droopy Whiskey channel or the Entry Proof podcast or both, just go to patreon.com/entryproofpodcast. That is in the description below. Also, if you like my shirt, I still have a few of these left, these Keep It Neat shirts, and those are available. There's a link down below as well. All right. I'm going to set this aside. No, I'm going to slam it. RW says, stay hydrated before and after dose 2. I try and stay hydrated like always, but I don't know why. Stay hydrated. And is there a difference? Here's the thing. It's like I heard there was a big difference in like how people felt, whether it was the Pfizer or the Moderna. I have no idea how people felt if they took the Johnson one, but anyway, Brian took the Moderna. I got the Pfizer, so we'll see. Okay, last sip of this. Nation, I asked just a little bit ago in the chat if there was anybody else you all wanted to see come on a live stream with us, and we'll get their story, their human being story, as well as their whiskey story a little bit. You guys mentioned Jason from Mash and Drum. If there's anybody else, throw it in the chat. Also, if you have either ideas for podcasts or for my show, my Monday, my show that I do on Mondays, let me know. That wild turkey video, that was what came out this week. So it wasn't massive overview of wild turkey. It was really focused on rare breed and wild turkey 101 as the darlings of the bourbon community due to their pretty awesome value. I liked making that video, and I really kind of fell back in love with rare breed as I did it. 101 is fine. It's fine. It's good, $22 whiskey, but it's, like I said, it's really not my profile. I'd take Elijah Craig over it. I should do that blind though. But rare breed, man, I was like, dang, this is good stuff. So I'm probably going to go through that bottle of rare breed kind of fast because it's easy to drink it when it's like $40. This is my bourbon podcast is in the chat. What's up? It's my bourbon.
What's going
on? I don't know your name. I'm so sorry. But I know you as This Is My Bourbon. I've listened to the podcast a bit. I've probably listened to 4 episodes and I'm spacing on the name. I'm so sorry. I'm a scumbag. I'm a sleazebag. But yes, I'd be very open. It's a very, very well-known, well-distributed, well-respected podcast of the bourbon community. So thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoy. We're going to taste some craft whiskeys here, which I'm going to try and give very quick reviews of these because I'm going to try and get through as many as possible. The goal is to go from 34 or 35 to 45, get up to 45 different craft whiskeys tasted by the end of the night. May go farther than that. So I'm not going to really pull punches here. I'm going to give my gut reactions and we're going to move on. First, hopefully Brian's connection stays pretty strong. I'll let Brian, we'll come back to your comparison of the Parker's Heavy Char and this Heaven Hill Select Stock when you're done. Just let me know when you're done.
You're all good. I just want to take some notes so
and
taste.
All right. I've got my Chemex full of water. So I'm going to stay very hydrated tonight as we do this. Also, I have, this is awesome. So Ball. What's the company that makes this? Yeah, it's Ball. They started making these aluminum disposable cups. I don't dispose of mine. I just wash it and keep reusing it because I love it. I like the feel of it. It's awesome. We got these in at Stone Creek. We're sampling them. I was hoping they'd be cost effective to use in the cafes. It's not. It's not cost effective at all. They're really expensive, but they're dope. So that's what I'm drinking out of tonight. Tom, thanks for dropping the link for This Is My Bourbon in the chat. I appreciate it. Fred says Wild Turkey vid was awesome. Good. Glad to hear it. Rod says perhaps a palate cleanser. ASWs are going to suffer. Yeah, you know what? I'll take a little sippy sip of something else. Or I've got some chips over here, actually. That should do. And I will cleanse my mind. I will bring in Zen practices, of which I know nothing about, to clear my mind. Cleanse the palate with this chip.
I don't remember who asked last week or the week before, but somebody had asked us about the Kentucky law that made distilleries able to bypass the retailers. And we were like, yeah, we don't know. But apparently, so if that was you, I wanted to say it was Eric McFarland, but maybe it wasn't. But if that was you or you are interested, you might want to check that out. That way you can learn more about that. I've not checked it out yet, but it's in the title. So
the title of what? Sorry, Brian. It's in the title of what?
Of their video.
Oh,
that's what I talk about. I've just not seen it myself.
All right. So first up, Rod Spinelli gave me this sample pack of ASW whiskeys, and I'm going to taste them blind. He's wrapped them up. I'll get out 4 Glencairns. I don't like to do dishes, so I don't like to get out like a whole plethora of Glencairns. But here we go. I'll do these 4 together, and then I'll just crush the rest after that. William Wiley sent all the other samples, and William sent also a bunch of ASW stuff. So big thanks to both Rod and William as we just absolutely crush a ton of Georgia whiskeys, which to me, I put this in the Instagram post, the Masters golf tournament starts next Thursday. This is the peated one. That's very apparent. So next Thursday, the Masters, which is, if you love golf, the Masters is just like, oh yeah. And it's springtime. There's just so many good vibes that come with the Masters. Unfortunately, Tiger's accident, broke both his legs. It seemed like terrible accident. Also looks like Brooks Koepka had a knee issue, so he's going to be out as well, in all likelihood. He hasn't actually officially withdrawn yet. He got engaged today. Congrats, Brooks. He's probably not in the chat.
But if he is, congrats.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, Brooks, he's kind of a bro, but he's also he seems pretty cool. Like, golfers aren't generally known for being cool. That dude, he's jacked, and he's just got a very no nonsense way about him, which I respect. Number 2 smells like a malt whiskey. Number 3 is funny smelling. The weirdest smelling. Number 1 was clearly peated. Number 3 may be a young bourbon. Could also be a rye, but it's not very spicy on the nose. I've seen ASW a lot on the socials. They seem to get around. I think they do a really nice job with their branding. I think 4 is the rye. Okay, so we got peated malt, double malt. I'm just going off the nose here. Wheated bourbon, number 3. These are my guesses. And then the rye, number 4. Or crap. I may have 3 and 4 mixed up. They're both youngish whiskeys. We'll see on the palate where we end up. He gave me a little nice coaster set, which is taped up, but this is supposed to tell me what's what, so I don't have to fuss with all this tape right now. All right, whiskey. I'm going to go whiskey number 4 first. I'm going to hit the peated last out of this because I know that's going to do a number on my palate for sure. It's got the bready note. Man, this almost, I don't know how much of an impact the smell of one is having on my perception of this right now, but this almost tastes peated. But I get bready on the nose and not much else. Like, I'm trying to find notes and I'm failing miserably. It's sweet. I do think this is the rye. It's got some of the classic, like a suggestion of caraway. Plenty of sweetness for sure. Black pepper. A lot of black pepper, particularly on the finish. It helps kind of cover up some of that young breadiness. 4 is not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Move on to 3 here. A little softer on the nose. I think this is the bourbon, which is wheated. Breadiness on the nose, but more just like it's like alcoholic vanilla simple syrup. Maybe a touch of cinnamon. The breadiness isn't as pronounced as in number 4. So number 4 is the rye, no doubt. A lot of black pepper, some softer rye notes. Pretty good start to the wheated here. I feel like if this was older, this could like go to bat with what was the other one I had? The Kentucky craft distiller that everybody loves. Not New Riff. Brian, help me.
Nulu?
No. Craft distiller, not a blender. They make a wheated. Not Woodinville. Well, it starts with a W though. Wilderness Trail. This reminds me of Wilderness Trail wheated. Yeah, really promising there. I like that. I didn't like the nose as much, but as far as craft weeded bourbons go, I think this is pretty good. That's sample number 3. At least that's my guess that that's what it is. Sample number 2, I think, is the double malt because I just got big barley on the nose along with some fingernail polish, which isn't as pleasing. I mean, it's hard to make a malt. You got to age a malt whiskey for a while, I feel like. William Wiley says the double malt is 50% rye and 50% peated. Oh, shoot. Well, dang. Now I'm super confused because that says robust rye whiskey meets smoke profile. Okay. Shoot. So number 4, maybe the double malt, and number 2, maybe the rye. Okay. This is complicated. I feel like I'm working right now and I'm doing my training for the world's top whiskey taster competition. And that would make sense, though, why I felt like I was getting peat on number 4. Shoot. 4 may be the double malt. 2 may be the rye. But it still smells malty as crap. I'm gonna shoot. The peat is just not pronounced. Maybe the shot has impacted my palate to the extent which I'm just going to be absolutely useless tasting through these. I can't fixate on this. I'm going to say the 4 is the double malt, 2 is the straight rye. I get a little bit more candy. It is also bready on the nose, like peppermint candy. Peppermint and bread. Not as sweet, actually, as number 4. Okay, so we're changing it. William I can't take credit for it, but it seems like 4 is the double malt, 3 is the wheated bourbon, 2 is the rye, and then 1 is certainly the straight up peated, which it smells like peateds vary in their smell. Ardbeg has this so that's Scotch, really oily, like bacony kind of aroma. Lafroig is a little sharper. Lagavulin is sweeter. This one smells a little bit like Lafroig and a menthol cigarette together.
Yum.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got some kind of harsher, cheaper cigarette on the nose. Oh my gosh. So I'm not a huge fan of peatids already, but this is so harsh. It's not so smoky. I've had smokier, but it's really medicinal. I'm getting cigarette and Band-Aid along with the peat. But it's actually, I do not like this.
Yikes.
It may be a mood thing. Let me give it a sec. I'm gonna do due diligence here. Rod says they allow cigars to be smoked outside there at ASW. If you're smoking a cigar, I'm sure it would entirely change the profile of this whiskey. Yeah, guys, I would go with the Scotch. I feel like that needs mellowing. It needs barrel time because straight up, it's I get a lot of like medicinal. I get some aspirin. It's bitter, and it's just not clean. It feels like something went wrong. So yeah, that's my perspective. People are entitled to theirs. I should do the reveal here, make sure I'm right. Let's pass through these. So 1 being, I believe, well, obviously, the 1 is obvious. It's the peated. I'm going to have to eat a chip. 2, I said, was the rye. and it's peppermint and candy and bread. 3 is some cinnamon, simple syrup, alcohol. Not a bad wheated bourbon for a craft distillery at all. Pretty solid. And then 4, I think, is the double malt involving a little bit of peat. It also was not terrible. Really, if there is peat in here, it's really softened compared to number 1. Number 1 was just like, oh my gosh. Do some tiny sips of this real quick. Yeah, 2 is very rye forward now. That's definitely the rye. 3 is still very drinkable, really solid, wheated. And 4 is just interesting. I do like, though, that my initial impulse of like, dang, 4 feels peated was actually correct. So a little vindication. The glasses that held peated spirit are going to be yeeted to the nether sphere. I will not drink out of those tonight. But I should do the reveal. That's what I said I should do before I bottle all these up in case I was wrong and I have to eat my words. Okay. Rod, again, thank you for providing these and contributing to my craft whiskey education. Much, much appreciated. I had people apologize to me because I didn't like the samples they sent. Don't, because I appreciate them regardless. Like, some of this is about learning what I like or what I don't, who I think is crushing it and who is not. But if you think they're crushing it and you like it, great. Like, I'm just one opinion on this thing. So 1 is Tire Fire, which is indeed the peated single malt. William said they call it Tire Fire for a reason. Yeah, I see that. I hear that. 2 is Resurgence, Resurgence is the rye. Okay, bang, boom. 3 was Fiddler, which is that wheated bourbon, high wheat bourbon. So boom. And then 4 is Duality, which is the Duality double malt. So yes, with a little help from William, I was correct. Now, these coasters are ruined, unfortunately. Because I think these coasters are dope, and I didn't want to ruin them. But one side of each is still good, and I have the nice note from Rod, who's a total boss. So keep those. Move these out of the way, and then we will move on swiftly to more ASW from our boy William Wiley, and then we'll go to some other Georgia distilleries that I had never heard of before. But Brian, how are you doing on that comparison of those Heaven Hill products?
This are you wanting me to go full into it?
Well, I mean, given the connectivity issues, I would probably try and keep it simple. But what you should do is maybe give us the cliff notes, and then why don't you record a brief video just there in front of your computer when we're done for Nation? We'll post it on Patreon.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing it's a comparison. I think you the Jack Daniel's barrel proof bourbon versus the Old Forester barrel strength bourbon. And another one would have been these two, which again are both hard to find, but they're both good. I still really enjoy this Parker's like a lot. The select stock has a lot more intense flavor than I thought it was going to. It barrel proofs, like it's got chocolate. It doesn't have the oak, but it has chocolate and then like such a packed amount of flavor. Still trying to, like, that's why I keep pouring it and then spinning it and letting it. Select stock is like breakfast, like savory and sweet combined. It's like both maple, but also some like kind of spiced, chocolatey, savory stuff. It's good. They're both good. Nice to sit and sip on.
Sweet. All right, let's get in. So I've got two from William, both from ASW, that are variants of the Fiddler. So Fiddler Unison is this high wheat bourbon. I'll read you the specs. The next one up is a 50% alcohol. The first Fiddler was, I think, 45%. Fiddler Soloist. Which is that there? Is that a single barrel? I don't know, but here we go. Electrical tape has got me like stuck. Wait for it. Okay, we're gonna get it. Okay, come on. All right, Fiddler Soloist from ASW. Man, I can't get past that. I mean, the bread note, it's like in these craft whiskeys, this young spirit, this new make, very corny, very grainy, sometimes very weedy bread note is just, it's like, how high is the dial turned up? On the really bad ones, that note is turned up to 11. On the more palatable ones, it's much lower. This one is much lower, but it's still hard to get past. Like, I'm trying to look, like, I want to see what's in there, given, like, if it spent more time in the barrel. But it's hard to go, like, oh, yeah, I can see through the bread, see through the grain to the complete whole. It's really tough on the nose. This tastes very, very similar to what I just had in the standard Fiddler. Just going off of memory. So I'm going to go back to that as kind of a control. Fiddler Unison. Back to that. Similar on the nose. Not Fiddler Unison. Shoot. But yeah. Fiddler Unison. Oh, we have Unison and Soloist? What's the difference? The Unison is crazy sweet. Going back to it. Very, very sweet. And the Soloist tastes like it just went from 45% to 50%. Like that. It's a little bit more flavorful, a little bit more hot. Very, very comparable flavors. So I'll leave those guys out. I'll bust out another Glencairn here as I hit Fiddler Georgia Heartwood Store Pick Thornton package, 58.2% alcohol. Yeah, so here we have a store pick of what I think is basically the same thing. Yeah, William says it just seems like it's a 90 proof version versus a 100 proof version. That's kind of what it tastes like. Ow, shoot. This is painful. Guys, these caps are so small, you can't get any leverage on them. Oh my gosh. I might have to go upstairs and get like vice grips or something. I think I'm going to hurt myself. Oh my word. I'm going to break my tooth. All right, got it. I'm excited to try this one because what I've found, so if you guys want a secret, is that there is good whiskey to be had through craft distilleries, through barrel picks. Like that is the lesson that I've learned is if someone's picking a barrel at a craft distillery and you trust their palate, they might be able to pull something pretty rad. Whereas if you're just getting this stuff off the shelf, I mean, it's going to be a blend of all kinds of stuff. And they're probably saving some of their better barrels to use for special releases. So,
yeah.
Nose on this is way less bready. It smells nice. I get a little bit of like a light cake. A nose more reminiscent of Weller, like Weller 107, which we're in the 10. We're not in the 10s. We're in the 116s, but it's not crazy hot. It's rich. It's got a rich, soft sweetness. And it's super good. It's really good. I got to pull notes now. Focus up. This is immediately in the running. It's going to be in the top 4 so far for the craft whiskey. Drew P's best craft whiskey after tasting 100. It may be relative to what I had, but I liked it. And I tend to be pretty critical of this stuff. So William says this is what he's drinking now. Well, it's a good one. Do you have an extra bottle laying around?
ISO, extra bottle.
It's not maple syrup. It's not quite that deep. It's not like I do get like sort of this vanilla bean, not cinnamon, but maybe some nutmeg. And like a white pepper, not full black pepper, but like a white pepper, softer. And then just a lot of sweetness in that honey simple syrup range. So very, very sweet, not very, very deep, just enough spice to make it interesting. But as far as the younger craft wheated whiskey, it's really great. So A to the store pick from ASW. Fiddler, Georgia, Heartwood, store pick, Thornton package. William says he could get one. Cool. Nice. Well, I'll leave that out as my winner for the evening. I'll also leave out some of this soloist. Jeepers. Yeah, it's going to be hard to keep track of all this stuff. All right, let's do this. This is going to be my dump cup. And then I'm going to promote at the end of the night here. Stay tuned because I will go through. Oh, cheers. That was terribly aimed. I will go through and let you guys know what my top 4 are so far. I'm not going to tell you what my best one is. We'll probably do that live, or I'll make a video where I taste through the top 10 and give you a winner. I'm trying to be very selective with what I put in that to make it easier on myself as we go. All right. We have 2 more from ASW. This one is Druid Hills Triple Pot Still Whiskey. Bourbon? No. Rye? No. Whiskey. Does that make me nervous? Yeah, a little bit. Should it? I don't know. But it's that pot still, to me, is tainted. If somebody's trying to sell that their whiskey is pot distilled, like, will it ruin that for everybody? Like, if you're just like trying to sell all the pot still, I'm like, no. That alone does not make the whiskey good. The Druid Hills name, that's pretty dope. I mean, I'm not a Druid. I don't think I would even like respect a Druid sort of worldview, but I respect the name. I think it's a dope name. 98 proof. And this one was much easier to get off. So. All right, here we go. Druid Hills whiskey. Triple pot still, too. Not even single pot still. Triple. Bread on the nose. Young alcohol grains and lighter. You know, that wheated had some. Gosh, there is a fruity, like orange. So I get some fruit. I like a fruity bourbon, fruity whiskey, fruity something. Put some fruit in there. I'm probably gonna like it. Lemony, probably lemon more than orange. So bready, citrus. William gives us the specs. Druid Hill Irish style whiskey, crafted in old Irish tradition with 30% unmalted barley, 70% malted barley. So we're talking about really a malt whiskey here. Well, that's cool. It doesn't smell as malty as the other one did. The whatever the heck that was. Tire Fire. No, the Duality. Yeah. Didn't smell as malty as that one. I may have like chipped a tooth on that one bottle. Big citrus note, huge. Really interesting. Palate is, the nose was misleading. I thought this was going to be much simpler than what I'm experiencing in my facial orifice right now. Yeah, candied lemons. Nice. Does not suck at all. I mean, out of what I've tasted so far from ASW, I'm going to put this second to that single barrel. Nice. Really interesting. Very different. William, what do you think of this one, dog? I mean, you mentioned they call it tire fire for a reason on the peated one, which is cheaper. Pretty rough. This is way better than that. Still has some breadiness I do not like, but that citrus is kind of making up for it. I dig me some candied lemons, like on a yogurt. Candied lemon on a yogurt, pretty killer. All right, let's rinse this. We got one more from ASW before we make the rounds out and visit some other parts of Georgia here. You notice I always drink my rinse water. It's because water, I mean, it's a valuable resource. I don't want to waste it. And it forces me to drink a lot of water when I'm tasting some whiskeys.
You notice how I've completely forgotten my water upstairs, so I don't have my glass of water with me.
I'm always like pounding water in these streams, and you do not as much. William says he's not a fan of the tire fire, but all the other ones he enjoys. Okay. So Druid Hills. Not bad. All right. Next we're up to Maris Otter single malt. 92 proof, 46%. So more of a, I would imagine this single malt. So it's all barley. I imagine this to taste like a Scotch. I look at the color and I'm a little disappointed. I think Balcones does this, but I wish I would see more American distilleries aging their single malts in new charred oak barrels. I think that would be amazing. I think that'd be really interesting. I actually haven't had the Balcones single malt. I should. I saw it at the store earlier today. Yeah. Tom Lynch says, Droopy Whiskey, why do you think they're called streams? These live streams. Yeah, man. At the end of our stream with ADHD, when we started talking about that, I just lost it. It was so funny in that moment to me. I mean, I'd still laugh going back and watching that over again. That's one of our conversations / episodes that I think I will revisit because I enjoyed that so much. Of course, we'll have Matt back on too. All right, single malt whiskey from ASW, 92 proof. Whoops. I was trying to bring up the live chat on my phone. It's in my streaming software right now. But I turned off the internet on my phone so we could get full devoted service into the live stream. And now my phone has no signal through data because I'm in the basement. So it smells like bubblegum, straight up. Also lemongrass, herby bubblegum. Really nice, though. Pretty sweet. I mean, it's like double bubble. Like it reminds me of Little League Baseball.
Sounds terrible.
No. Are you joking? Or I hope you're joking. Are you joking?
It's hard to say. Lately, that bubblegum note has been, for some reason, like offensive to me. Like I get it in billet stuff, and it's off-putting. It almost makes me think the whiskey's a it's like the hard seltzer of like whiskey when I get a whiskey that's got bubblegum as a note.
So first, I enjoy hard seltzer. I picked up a 24-pack of Trulies today because it's summertime.
I love hard seltzer also. I'm in Club White Claw, but that's fine. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, that Swing Nation needs some White Claw when you're out there on the course. Anyway,
Oh yeah,
I'm not hating the nose. I've not hit the palate yet, but I'm not hating the nose. I do not like bubblegum in my beer. Which I think it's actually, I know very little about brewing beer, so I'm not gonna say something. Droopy whiskey. Don't you have a sink under that bar? I do not. I do not have any fluid. Although I do think I could probably engineer a little like porta-john situation where I could just hook it up, right there, and then I wouldn't have to get up. Tom says, "Yeah, Truly is awesome." I think Truly is the best one, honestly. If you haven't had Truly, highly recommend. They have some exotic flavors. I really enjoy. White Claw is also good, but out of the ones I've tried, I think I'm Team Truly. All right, let's try this malt whiskey.
You can't beat the deal, which is a Bud Light seltzer or the Natty Light seltzer. Got some good deals there.
I have not hit those. Are they good?
The Natty there you get more for your money.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But do you get more value? Do you get more flavor, like positive?
No, if the Patreon is interested, I've got plenty videos of me chugging White Claws that I could upload. I mean, at least
I'm not interested. I'm not interested in a bubbly. For Patreon, we should do a bubbly taste off. And not really a bubbly chug, but a bubbly taste off. Okay, the bubble gum is all over the palate as well. That carries forward. It's a little. The finish is a little medicinal. When I say medicinal, imagine you just drank cough syrup. You have the cough syrup retronasal. What's left in your mouth after you've drank the cough syrup, or if you've taken a pill, you let it sit too long on your tongue. It has this really bitter, like ugh. Now in whiskeys, often it doesn't show up as that like repulsive, like makes you want to hurl. That said, you still do get often some more medicinal finishes on whiskeys. Bargain Jurgenheim says, "Have you been to the Total Wine near Milwaukee? Drove past it last weekend." Yes, there's 3 actually. There's Greenfield, there's Brookfield, and then there's the North Shore. I've been in all 3. Always a great selection at Total Wine. We are not sponsored by Total Wine. I heard Bourbon Pursuit got sponsored by Total Wine. I thought, well, number 1, good for them. Number 2, that's weird because they give Total Wine all kinds of crap. Like so much crap they give Total Wine, and then Total Wine sponsors the pod. Like no hate here because that's awesome for them. I'm sure that that goes a long way toward making the dream work for them. But it was funny as crap because it was really ironic. Tom,
all that to be said, Total Wine, if you want to sponsor us, shoot us an email, entryproofpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, we could be one of the first, namely the second bourbon podcast sponsored by Total Wine. So Bubblegum City here, not bad. Not complex. Finish isn't as good as the front. I like the sweet bubblegummy front, but the finish is not as good. Not something I would want to buy a bottle of. So far I'm only a bottle really on that single barrel. And then whatever I just had. You guys are gonna have to remember for me. I'm probably not even a bottle on the pot still, but it wasn't bad. I would buy a bottle of that before I bought a bottle of the single malt. But ASW, Rod told me earlier, a lot of potential. I agree. like on the nose, the youth is evident in these whiskeys. And given some time in a barrel, they could be quite lovely. But that said, what is out and in my mouth right now does need some more time in the barrel. But that single barrel is in my top 4 so far. Okay, now we're going to move on to some lesser known Georgia distilleries. I almost give anybody like a free sample of something if they could name another Georgia distillery if they're not from Georgia and they didn't use Google or read the chat before. What I have here is a bottled in bond Georgia whiskey. I assume this is Georgia because everything William sent me is Georgia. William said he was going to be drinking this tonight. So I assume he thinks it's pretty good. It is Old Forth Distillery, bottled in bond. I assume it's bourbon. He didn't say, but it's bottled in bond.
Fred is asking, he's going to New Orleans at the end of the month, asking where to go. Go to Sazerac House.
I have never been to New Orleans, so I couldn't say. I'm trying to think if I know anything about New Orleans. Oh, there's a
Sazerac, dude.
There, I follow an Instagram feed. There's a bar there called Barrel Proof. Seems pretty cool. So look them up. It's the Instagram handle is Barrel Proof NOLA. So now I did read about the history of the Sazerac brand. So you guys should also read about that, which does stem from New Orleans. William Wiley says he thinks Old Forth is MGP aged in Georgia. Okay. On the nose, I have this it took me straight back. Okay. So I don't remember what these things are called, but my brother had this kit when we were growing up. You would put this goo in these molds. So this colored goo in these like dinosaur molds. And, you could swirl it or you could do it like half yellow, half purple. And then you would put it in the oven to make these rubber dinosaur molds. And it had a very pronounced smell to it. That is 100% what this smells like. Creepy crawlers. Exactly. Eric Sawyer. Dude, we have so much in common. Yes. Creepy crawlers. Spiders too. That's right. It wasn't dinosaurs. It was more, creepy crawlers. So Old Forth Distillery smells like creepy crawlers. Holy dang. Yeah, I mean, it's remarkable. You get this kind of burnt rubber on the nose that smells exactly like creepy crawlers.
We got a guest.
Nice. What's the name?
Loki.
From Avengers, that kind of Loki. Loki.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, from like
Norse mythology.
From the Norse, but yeah, similar, same.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's the kind of person who would name it Loki because of Norse mythology, but in today's day and age, it's going to be like, but because of Avengers, right?
Right.
So Old Forth, the palate is also a little bit creepy crawler-ish. But it actually has some interesting sweetness and some barrel influence that I like, but I'm having a hard time getting past that rubber note. Yeah, it's like half good. I'm not going to take it much further than that. Old Forth is interesting to me. I would want to try something else, but the rubber was so pronounced. And it's hard for me to want to put something that smells like rubber into my body. That's what she said. I couldn't let that one go. That was served up. I served myself. That's what he said. I'm off the rails already. But I'm blowing through samples. I don't even know how many I've tasted so far. I've got 3 left, and then I can dip further into the trove provided to me by Nation. Tom Lynch said it's all latex these days. What do you need, a refresher course? I have an appointment with my doctor in April to get the snippy snap, so I hope to not have to worry about it henceforth. Because
that's what Kristen's telling me I need to do.
Dude, rubber, latex, it's the worst regardless. Like, it just ruins things. This is not a condom podcast, but if it were, I am anti. They serve their purpose. I'm not anti. I'm a married man. And okay, in my context, I'm anti. But I also don't want to have another baby. So snippy snap it is. And my wife has been through enough. So it's time for me to man up and get my junk managed. Next up is Savannah 88 Premium Bourbon. Savannah Bourbon Co. So I looked up Savannah Bourbon Co. They don't even have an Instagram. 88 proof. The lack of an Instagram is troubling. So it seems to me like Savannah is a tourist, or certainly has tourist elements to it. So this might be one of those distilleries that mainly does wine. Again, I know nothing about this, but it's like, we do wine. We might as well install a still and make our own whiskey. It smells very fruity, so I like the fruit. It's also low proof, which is like, well, why? Maybe to make it accessible to the tourists. Jake Miller with a super chat. Never met a rubber I didn't like, minus the 1% fan. Thanks for the super chat, dog. That's another great way to support the channel. If you guys
we could buy a pack of condoms for that.
Well, I don't know where you're buying condoms, but we gotta pull up so hard. All right, Savannah 88 Premium Bourbon. Tom says hit that like button. That would be much appreciated, folks. We have 24 likes, or at least we did. I don't know what my phone is telling me. It might not be accurate, and I can't see the likes on here. So we could we have a smaller crew tonight, given that it's a craft whiskey tasting, but we could incentivize this crew. We have 56 watching. If we do have, what's our current like? Tom, how many likes do we have? Because I can't see. Hit it in the chat. Let me know. We'll see it in a minute. Anyway, once I see how many likes we have, we'll incentivize more likes and open something or taste something, or maybe I'll take my shirt off. Who knows? Tom says 35. Well, let me think of something that would be fun. Unless you guys just want to like it out of the goodness of your heart. All right. So Savannah 88. William said he just picked up a single barrel that's 108 proof. That's in my money zone, dog. Let's see how we're doing here. If I had to compare it to something, Evan Williams single barrel. Very chill vibes on the palate. Smooth, nondescript. It does smell young. There's this, that ginny kind of like retro. It's not bready, which is good. We're past the bread note, but the youth is still evident in this sort of gin-like presence in the whiskey. I've swallowed too much. Got some gastrointestinal buildup. Very sweet. The finish on it is also reminiscent of young new make spirit, and that's a little bit harsh. When I swallow, I'm not left with good flavors. I'm not left with heavy bitterness. Not terribly medicinal. This feels like it's actually really well distilled, the Savannah 88. It just needs more time. It needs like 2 more years, and then it'd be like, wow, this is really good. So all kinds of promise in Savannah 88. Put it in the barrel longer. another moral of my craft whiskey journey is if you guys, any of you in Neat Nation, are thinking about starting a craft distillery, build your business plan so that your whiskey can sit in the barrel until it's 6 years old. Then you will release a superior product compared to what many other people are releasing, because those that started releasing craft whiskey at 4 years old 3 years ago, guess what age their whiskey is still at? 4 years old. I'm not seeing very many people at all start to raise the age on their minimally aged, their lowest aged products. Driftless Glen is doing a little bit, but it's been slow going. New Riff, still 4 years. I'd like to see them drop a 6 year on us. They could do it, and I want that. I would love to try that. Jake Miller dropping a $5, dog. Thank you. Just trolling. No kids for me yet. Just dealing with the trauma of having an Olympic level urine test for a new job. The man held the cup for me. No joke. That's amazing. Dude, how are you supposed to pee that way? I feel like my prostate would be like, nah, dog. I'm clamping down. There ain't nothing coming out of this channel right now. Seriously though, ever since I was a young kid, like if I had to go to the bathroom in a gas station on a car trip, and I had to pee all the time, it's like my dad called me walnut bladder. And so we'd go to the gas station on a car trip, and I'd get out, and I could not use a stand-up urinal. I could, go in but I needed doors. I needed to feel protected. So I can't imagine, even still, as a slightly more mature adult, trying to relieve myself into a cup that another man is holding. It's just not for me. But I don't know. Maybe you guys just have superior willpower. You can just relax yourself. Abnormally Weird says, I'm not holding the cup for anyone. Dude, I'm with you. No. Like, I'll quit. I'll do a different job. Like, what kind of job is worth that? Just went back and dove into that single barrel again from ASW. Nice stuff. Let's start with a clean glass here because I've been through a few. All right. Brent Anderson says something about a monster wiener. I don't know what that even means, but Jake Miller says, what do you do? Or Tom tells Jake, what do you do for a living? I got to find this out now. Jake said it is a state level environmental science job. And you need to be sober to do that? Or you need to be not on the weed? Oh, Chris says, piss all over the hand that holds the cup. That would be tempting. It's like, okay, so I have to live through this highly unique experience of another person. I'm just playing it out in my mind, holding the cup. And like, okay, how do I make this funny? How do I make this a story that I can tell in the days to come? I can intentionally miss. I can see if I can get the guy to drop the cup. That's a great idea. These would make some really quality YouTube videos, I feel like. We'll move on. We'll keep it to whiskey for now. This is Georgia Single Barrel Cask Strength. So a single barrel cask strength from Moonrise Distillery. Again, Moonrise, they are on the Instagrams, but they're not doing too much. I've never heard of Moonrise. Brian, you ever heard of Moonrise?
No.
No, me neither. Okay, here we go. I mean, I like single barrel at 120 proof. That's very promising. Tom says, just wait till one of your kids has a UTI, you'll hold the cup. Dude, okay. So, of course, I would hold the cup for one of my kids. I have a terrible story with my son. He's fine. We're fine. But there are things you do as a parent that you would never expect to do in service to your child's well-being. And you're fine with it. You're just like, whatever, I got to do this for my kid. Like I'll cut off my arm, or I'll help them. Anyway, I'll spare my son. Never mind. Poor kid. I won't tell you all. It's unnecessary. Oh, I gave it a kind of quick nosing. But I got like, this is Bower Hill level. Like if any of you guys were watching the tasting where I did the Bower Hill single barrel, same stuff. In that I get cigarette and rubber, like phenolic exhaust. William, I'm sorry if you like this one, dude, but my goodness. I mean, the nose is very harsh, very turpentine-y. And then the palate is equally bad. I would 100% not endorse this because it is poison. Okay. What where is that from? Let me make
Can you read that?
Bigger. I can't, just hold on. I gotta make my screen bigger. Claude Chuck Norris Tears. Chuck Norris Tears, what? I don't know what that's from.
I don't remember either. It was a local pick from a while back.
I think I'm gonna get a stomach ache from this. So this is the single barrel, and then William sent me the 90 proof version. I should have started with a 90 proof. There's a redeemable sweetness. It's not Bower Hill. I take it back. It's not great. I mean the exhaust and the phenolic rubbery doesn't hit me right. But it does have actually a depth of age and sweetness, which is like okay, but it feels like they tried to learn distilling off of watching YouTube videos versus, like working with somebody they should have worked with probably. Given the amount of water chugging I've done, Stream Nation, I'm probably going to have to take a break soon. I feel it coming on. So I'm going to hit this Georgia Distillers Moonrise 90 proof and see how that compares. Maybe it's just a funky single barrel pick. One that had something weird. Maybe not. We'll see. Brian, where did that Chuck Norris Tears come from? Who picked that?
For Louisville Bourbon Hounds a couple years ago.
Nice.
I think all the ones I have are Louisville picks. Maybe I thought I had another one. I don't see it. Maybe it's unopened. I think they're all just local picks. This one's like 9 years old.
Get some blackberries on the nose of this Moonrise Distillery 90 proof. Actually, interesting fruitiness. Still has this. I mean, the exhaust is turned down slightly. It's still there. It's not as prevalent. It's much more drinkable, actually. I'm going to take the 90 proof over the single barrel. And just to be careful, I will go back. I'll hit this single barrel one more time. Then I will take a bathroom break before we march on. And see, this, we're going to set a record tonight. How many have I had? Yeah, I don't know how many I've had, but we'll count them in retrospect. We'll set a record for droopy whiskey samples in one evening. And then when I get to 10,000 subs...
I'm going to switch my video feed. It's going to get slightly weird because apparently my camera battery is dying.
Yeah, you're cutting
even though it's not supposed to do that. Well,
yeah, no, the single barrel is worse. It's way worse. The 90 proof, I don't know if it's just the proof difference or if someone picked a bad barrel, but yeah, does not taste good. The 90 proof is way better fruitier, more tolerable, less poisonous. I get some caramel, a little tequila, like slightly aged tequila, kind of a palate essence. Not my favorite. Not bad though. All right. So tonight the clear winner was, reach over here, Fiddler store pick for Thornton package from ASW. Number 2 would be the ASW, probably 50 proof. 50 proof. My goodness, I've had 14 samples or whatever, 100 proof. The third winner would be my Ball aluminum water cup. Ooh, I'm getting an interesting note now going back to that Fiddler Soloist 100 proof. I'm getting coffee. Getting kind of like a stale coffee. Sometimes when coffee is used in cooking, it kind of gives off this very stale coffee note. And that's what I'm getting right now in this Fiddler Soloist. All right. Brian.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you entertain the kind people? Maybe take requests, sing a song. I will be back as quickly as I can.
But it's not going to be very entertaining. Someone sent me a video of it recently. It's this country song, Down by the Lake. Has anybody heard the song yet? Down by the Lake? Where he being parked, having his truck parked by this lake that's 80 miles from Santa Fe. And that's all that he sings over and over and over again. But it's just been stuck in my head. But I was at Lowe's and I was like, park down by the lake. Just singing it. 80 miles from Santa Fe. I'm at by the lake. So that's it. Keep going through it. I said it to my dad. My dad has not been having very good health stuff lately. And yesterday, after I got my vaccine, we got some pretty bad news about him health wise. So I was not in the greatest mood. But I figured, you know what? He always tells me bad jokes. I'm gonna send him this video, see what he says. Or no one's live in it, so I can't tell if anyone's interacting. But I'm gonna close out of that and pull it back up, just in case they are. This Buffalo Trace is definitely from the other ones that I tried. A little more robust. I was talking about you.
Talking about me being robust.
Oh yeah, of course.
I just dropped a golf ball. I keep, dang it, golf balls from my trips with my dad and my brothers.
Yeah, Tom, you interjecting bar has exactly been what I needed today. Exactly.
All right. Sorry, squad. Thanks for hanging with us. All right. Need to do a little palate reset. Got my chips here. So here's what we're going to do. We got 53 people in the chat. Oh, is your dad not doing well, Brian? I see a note here.
No. Song. I'll send it to you later. That it's like a joke country song. And I ended up sending it to my dad just because he always tells bad jokes, and I figured some comedic relief could be prostate cancer which we thought was gone, but we found out yesterday that it very much is not, and is very much in a lot of places. In his bones and a bunch of other stuff. So we'll hear, I want to say, a plan of attack in a week, but I don't see it being a very good rest of the year. So but I sent him this terrible country song, and his response to it was very funny. So
well, that's good, but yeah, sorry to hear that, dude. That sucks. That's supremely sucks.
Yeah. He drinks a whole lot. So it's one of those things that like has Kristen like, hey, maybe you should keep it in check. I don't drink anywhere near as much as he does. I drink whiskey because I don't, he enjoy drinking a lot of alcohol. I don't know. So, but it is one of those things that just makes you pause, right? And say like, ugh.
Yeah.
How much should I be?
Maybe not 14 samples, but I'm little samples. But yeah, I mean, at any time where we go like, oh, am I healthy? Am I good? That is good. Unfortunately, when it's your family member has bad cancer, that is not great. But that said, yes, do take the moment to be like, am I good? Like, am I in control? Does it have a control over me? Am I risking my life? I mean, something will get you. Like, it's not, we shouldn't be obsessive, in our worry, like, because something's going to get you at some point. That said, that's not a good idea to just trash your body either.
Because last night after we put the kids to bed, after we heard all that and all that stuff, I told Kristen, I was like, okay, look, I just want to go to this bar where I know it wasn't a bar. It's a store. It was Evergreen. And I wanted to go there because I knew and I wanted to try it to see if I liked it. And Kristen was like, yeah, it's fine. I started driving. And then one of my friends was like, hey, this liquor barn has Will It Rise out. You should go. So I nothing was there. So I went back to Evergreen, but then Evergreen was like, it was just before 9:00 and they close at 10. But they're like, oh, I'm sorry. The tasting bar is closed. We close an hour before. And I'm like, but it's not an hour before. Cool. Well, I wish I would have known prior to driving out here. And I'm like, here I sound like this probably crazy drunk at this point. And then I get in the car and I'm going to drive away. And the guy like races out. And he's like, no, I'm sorry. I just look at the clock. Point, totally fine, dude. I'm just going to leave. But I was like, man, I probably seem like such an alcoholic. And two, I was then driving back talking to Chris, and I'm like, no, it's fine, right? It's fine. I just heard I got these bad news from my dad, and all that sounds very bad. And it's not meant to. I just wanted to try a sample of this whiskey.
Oh man. Yeah, some days are just kind of stacks on top of itself. Okay. I don't even know where to go from that. It's hard. Like, it's hard to be like, okay, and let's turn up. And it's like, no, it's okay to sit sometimes and be
turned up with a T.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, like, I do think it's okay to sit and be like, well, that news blows. And definitely pray for your dad, dude. I'm trying to think. I was going to keep crushing the craft whiskeys. I think I'll wait on what I have. Save those, parcel them out, and something to toast your dad with while he's still with us. That's
Eric McFarland got a chance to try the Heaven Hill Select Stock at Evergreen tonight. So that's pretty cool. At least one of us did.
In your face. Okay. I haven't gone back to
It's
this
better
one.
than I thought it was going to be.
Yours is, or that's what he said?
The Heaven Hill Select Stock is better than I thought it was going to be. So that's good.
All right. So I'm going to go a little Stag Junior here, just a smidge. Well, we're only at 9:20. I may taste some more craft whiskeys, but Brian's dad, to being thankful and careful, to being wise and free, to enjoying life and savoring life and respecting life all at the same time. Cheers, dude.
I'm also drinking some more Chuck Norris's Tears because I remember when I was growing up, like he used to always watch Walker Texas Ranger and like dumb. Anyway,
I grew up in Texas, you know. I never watched that show.
Man, the kids these days don't know what Walker Texas Ranger is. They don't know Chuck Norris references though.
We grew up on Chuck Norris jokes. Like,
I know.
Really
but like,
inappropriate jokes. Really inappropriate.
When was the last time you asked one of your baristas if they knew who the Beatles are?
Everybody knows who the Beatles are.
Dude, no. I've asked some people and they're like, dude, I don't know.
That's hard to believe. It's really hard to believe. Huh.
He loves like trap rap music, like Travis Scott and like Kanye and all this stuff. And I'd put on Wu-Tang and he's like, it's whatever. I'm like, you never listen to Wu-Tang? He's
it's
like,
the same generation.
No. I'm like, you ever listen to like Outkast? He's it is. Yeah, he was in a group called Outkast. Do you ever listen to Dr. Dre? He's like, nah, dude, I don't know who you're talking about. But then you put on like a trappy Travis Scott song and he's like, it's lit.
Yeah, well, it's a genre thing. I mean, I didn't really grow up on rap either. DC Talk was the closest I got.
DC Talk.
Woo. Yeah. Vintage. All right. This stag is amazing. For those of you praying folks, definitely keep Brian's dad in your prayers and that their whole family. All right. Well, let's transition a little bit. I've got a conversation topic here, and I'd like to hear from the chat. You know, as we think about 2021 and whiskeys coming up, I think I tend to be like, okay, what do I really want to get? Like, what's on my list that I really want to try and get this year? And BTAC is always on the list, but I never expect to get it, and I've never gotten it. I have the one up there, right there, that I traded for. I traded a Booker's 30th, which I traded for to get one of the Four Roses, the unopened one, that one, and that one. So I don't expect to get BTAC. But I want to know what is being released this year that you expect to get that is like, hey, I really, really want to get this bottle. Like, I'm going to work to try and find this one. If it's BTAC, great, because you know how to get it, or you're in an area like Brian and you just know how to get the things. Good for you. But for me, it's I'll wait. But I'd like to hear from the chat. Like, what's on your wish list this year, 2021? What releases have you jazzed? Because those are the things, the releases that people get jazzed about that they actually might be able to get. Those are the kind of things that I want to make videos about as we go through this year, like those Monday video releases. I don't know that I ever want to do BTAC reviews, because even if I was given media samples, which probably not likely, it's one of those things where when I watch a BTAC review video, I'm like, well, that's great. I might get to try them at a bar, but I'm probably not going to be able to buy them. I know for sure in Milwaukee, I'm not going to be able to buy more than one if I get super lucky. Peter B says, I would love Russell's 13. I did see that label come through the TTB. That looks interesting for sure. I mean, it seems like the Russell's vintages may go away. We don't know. exactly. I might open that Russell's 2003 soon. I have a podcast idea that would force me to open that. We'll see. William says he got the Woodford Reserve batch proof this Monday. He was not expecting to see it. Awesome. I like the new Woodford bottles, the one they did the very fine rare bourbon in and the batch proof. Eric Sawyer actually let me try the very fine rare bourbon when we were golfing last week. Very, very good. So major props to Eric. Thanks, dog. I really enjoyed that. I was surprised because I don't like other Woodford stuff. Dan says Stag Jr., Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, Bardstown Discovery 4. That's a great list. You're gonna be so happy with that list. I'm with you. I if I can get those, I'll be good. I know I'll have bourbon that I love. Of course, I want some more of the unicorn stuff. 2020 was actually a really good year for me. I can't complain at all. But yeah, those are solid. Fred says Stag Jr. regardless of the batch. Yeah, it seems like any Stag Jr. batch right now is crushing. It seems like they got all of their duds out early, and any Stag Jr. release is going to be pretty solid. Josh is having troubles finding EC Toasted in northern Wisconsin. Josh, dude, are you following me on Instagram? If you've not, you should, and then send me a DM. I'll at least get you a sample. Josh Embry, cigar blend. I assume you're referring to Magnus. I've never seen that, never once. But I've heard mythical things. Never tried it, but cool. Awesome. Anybody else? And granted, I'm seeing these chat things probably a little bit later than you are. Tom says the Michter's hitters, 10 years or barrel strengths. Nice. Tom, when are you going to Kentucky, dude?
This weekend.
Tom's back in Kentucky. You need to watch that curbside release site on Michter's. You may be able to score something. Whoa,
try and get him
12-year picks? Brian, what is that?
Yeah, one of they with Elijah Craig picks in Liquor Barn. Liquor Barn / Party Mart had a 12-year pick out yesterday. I didn't get to it. One of my buddies did. By the time I got there, he didn't have it. But Eric McFarlane is in town, so some of the stuff, at least to know what's been where. They had a bunch of Buffalo Trace stuff out tonight at Liquor Barns too. So E.H. Taylor's, Saz, Weller Special Reserves. It was all while I was already back at home.
Wow. Brian Pulvers is still hoping to find a William LaRue Weller someday. Yeah, we all are. Me too. Bardstown Discovery Batch 3. Those are going to be harder to get. I've seen Sam from Bardstown. She's posted, just being around. There's still some Bardstown Batch 3 around. And I actually saw some when I was still around Louisville. Kroger's. Look at Kroger's. Not like it's not called Kroger's. It's called Kroger. I'm telling you to look at multiple Kroger's. A multiplicity of the Kroger. Because they're still out there. You just got to be in the right area. If you're like me and you're in Wisconsin where Discovery Batch 3 was never released, you'll never find it. But Discovery Batch 4 is amazing. So if you have that, just buy more of that. William says, I know Elijah Craig was going to do the 9-year barrel proof picks. It seems like they're going to do barrel proof picks and the age is kind of TBD. Like, I'm with you, William. That's top of my list, man. That's what has me jacked. 2021 is these Elijah Craig barrel picks. I hope a couple of them make it to Wisconsin because I'm so jacked for that. I mean, if I could pick any barrel, it would either be Stag Jr., which is apparently a thing now, but I don't know anybody who's gotten one besides the people who paid a bajillion dollars to be able to pick the very first one. So it'd either be Stag Jr. or it would be Elijah Craig barrel proof, which is now a thing. So we'll see. Tony says he just picked up Bardstown Discovery Batch 4. Well, that's a winner, dog. Well done. Well done. Brad Walling says, might sound weird, but Costco Kirkland bourbon sourced from Barton. That's coming sometime this year. It's something I'm looking forward to trying. I really like 1792, so I hope it's good value. I did not hear that, but cheers to you, man. Like, way to keep like, hey, I'm interested about this kind of interesting release, and I'm not going to get too ostentatious in my bourbon lust. I'm down with that. I feel like that's it's laudable. All right, squad. Here's what we're gonna do. We've got 30 minutes left. I'm gonna let you guys choose. We can go more craft whiskeys because I have a few more. We have 66 people watching. Or B, if we get $50 in super chats, which we have, I think we have $7 so far, which is fine. No pressure on this. We can go more craft whiskeys, or we get $43 in super chats. I will preview my Monday video, and I will bottle pop live the Michter's 10 Rye right up there. So Monday's video is going to be Michter's 10 Rye versus Michter's 10 Bourbon, which is better and why.
Ooh.
Like, what's the deal? Kind of like, where did these whiskeys come from? Why are they a big deal? We're going to let this ride for 5 minutes. So it's 9:31. At 9:36, we'll decide what we're going to do. If you don't do super chats, no problem. We'll taste a little more craft whiskey, round the night out. It's been great enjoying you guys. If we are up to $50 in super chats, then I will pop the Michter's 10 Rye live. Dave Cooper says, since you are tasting a bunch of craft whiskeys, have you tried any whiskeys from Kansas City? Dave, not to my knowledge. The more I get into craft whiskeys, the more I'm like, wow, there is so much out there that I wasn't even aware of. Like, not only is there a bunch of stuff I'm aware of that I haven't tried, there's so much stuff on the local level that's not distributed in Wisconsin that I'm like, oh, dang. Yeah, I didn't know that was there. So it's like some of you send me these samples and I'm like, wow, I just didn't know that existed. And some of it's been really good. Like, for example, Middle West Spirits out of Ohio. Really impressed there. Never heard of them. I did see that they are distributed in Louisville, so that's good. But they're not in Wisconsin. So, any other questions, too? Oh, Ryan Schmidt said, when do the Starlight picks come out? Soon, dog. Yeah, if you're a Patreon supporter, you're going to expect it very soon. They've been bottled. Just get into the retailer now, and then we'll go from there. Tom Lynch says, I asked for Michter's 10, and Drew delivers. Well, I try, Tom. Yeah. When did you ask for Michter's 10, Tom? I mean, sorry, you may have asked for it more recently. Evan Swift says he's looking forward to Four Roses LE or Midwinter Night's Dram. I was able to score the 2020 LE, and it's amazing. I enjoyed it. I popped that on my anniversary, my 11th wedding anniversary, and then I drank a little bit more of it from the sample bottle on my Instagram feed the night my daughter was born. Tom, I didn't see that comment. So, yeah, I mean, regardless, we're going to hit that Michter's on Monday. But we can do a special evaluation preview. But you were the only one to throw a super chat, so
with any luck, cognac finished rye this weekend when he's in town. With any luck, no promises.
Sorry, that Starlight pick you kind of cut out.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they get a chance to pick it up tomorrow, and I'm not confirmed yet, but I'm anxious to get my hands on it. I know you are less.
Yeah,
I am excited to taste it. It's totally fine. Totally fine. It's your prerogative.
Yep. So yeah, on that, if you guys listen to our podcast recapping our Starlight pick, we talked about this cognac finished rye. That the group who was with us, they ended up buying the barrel, and I was like, man, I was just not floating my boat. But Brian really liked it, and so that's been bottled too. And maybe you reached out to Brian, you wanted a bottle, maybe he could help you get one. But yeah, I passed. It's not really for me. Not bad. I didn't not like it, but I didn't want to buy more of it. Eric says, thanks for the content. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. William says, I think Old Forester is going to be doing barrel-proof rye picks this year. That might be nice. Maybe.
Ooh.
I'm not a big fan of the Old Forester rye. It's Banana City. It's like anything else. Brown Foreman. It's like banana-centric. And it's bananas and bubblegum, actually. I get a lot of bubblegum from that Old Forester rye. So I bought one bottle and I didn't go back. If it was aged more...
Wasn't a big fan either.
Yeah, if it was aged more, maybe. But like, I want to like it. I want it. Because I mean, Fred Minnick said, I bought a case of it. It was the best thing ever. And generally, I find my palate tends to match Fred's pretty well. Like, I tend to agree with him on his assessment of what is good. But on the Old Forester rye, I was like, no, I can't do it. Not a fan. William says, I'm hoping it is similar to the Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof Rye 2020 limited release. Yes, I liked that way better than the Old Forester standard. I like the price point of the Old Forester Rye. Like, that's kind of a wonderful thing, is that it's a really reasonable, it's like, what, $25? That's a great value. And it does not suck. Like, it's pretty solid, but it's just not my profile. It doesn't really hit me where I want it to hit me. Tom says that would be a home run from all reports. Yes, very much so. Well, so there's not a lot of interest in Michter's 10 bottle pop right now. That's fine. Feel like I owe Eric and Tom something, though. Feel like it's almost not fair to those guys if I didn't pop that.
Take your shirt off.
It's actually not impressive.
April Fools, that's what you paid for, kids.
No, I appreciate the support of Nation. For those guys, like I said, we didn't get anywhere close to it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I gotta open it for Monday. I'll pop it now. Make it live. To me, these are the most beautiful bottles. St. Cloud Distillery, I think uses the same bottle or something very similar. Very aesthetically pleasing. Out of Michter's Rye and Michter's Bourbon, the Michter's Rye tends to get the more critical acclaim, which I'm interested in trying them side by side. I've had Michter's Bourbon before, but these are single barrel products, so there's a lot of variation. This is going to be a nightmare to open. Now I got the hiccups. Good grief. I'm almost worried trying to open this right now because after just a little bit of a tug here, I'm a little embarrassed. Mother of pearl. Eric says he can wait until Monday. Yeah, but how many people are going to watch this? 2,000 at the most. How many people are going to watch Mondays? Who knows? Probably 5 to 10,000. So those of you who are hanging with us deserve something a little bit special. Granted, you saw me taste a buttload of whiskeys already, so there's that. But I may not be able to get this open before Monday. I honestly can't tell if I'm supposed to pull left or right. It's so thick. Good grief, hold on. Oh, gosh.
If it's too thick, maybe use some latex.
Latex. What? Is that a condom joke? Or I mean, seriously, though, the wax is so, dense, I can't pull it. I feel like I'm going to break the little fiberglass thing. Oh my gosh, yeah, I just totally ripped it. I'm gonna cut myself. Oh my gosh. The next 30 minutes is gonna be me trying to open. I gotta get a knife. This is gonna go bad. Hold on, I'll be back.
Oh my gosh, it's funny. Running up those stairs. Can put my second earbud in. It's terrible, man. Those bottles are always hard. I don't even like opening wax that way, even if it has a tab. I try and figure out look at another bottle, figure out where the opening is, just knife it and pull it up, pull it down. Eric Cullen, have I had Blade in Bow 22? I have not. I would like to, but I have not had it. I've not tried it.
Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to try and keep the sharp pointed away from me. Right? That's what you're supposed to do?
Yes, that is what you were supposed to do.
Okay,
not
good. Good. Capital. This is so dangerous. I mean, because I want to keep like the wax intact. Why? I don't know. So it looks pretty. Okay, focus. Oh, good. I hope you guys are enjoying this. This is what I went to college for. It's what I spent 2 years working on my master's degree for.
Oh my gosh.
This is just
to your video. Just you trying to open the bottle for 25 minutes.
like we're gonna hit 10 o'clock here in a hot minute. 10 years of college down the drain. That's true.
That's so funny.
So, I mean, I feel like I'm getting through the wax here, but it's so tough. And like once I'm even through.
And Tom called me the wuss.
Dude, I'm totally a wuss. I own that. Like, I just own that as part of my identity. I identify as a wuss. I mean, it's incredibly tough. Like, I'm down to the nubbins on this fiberglass, whatever this is. And then the wax, I'm having to carve the wax out.
Oof.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to avoid a situation here where I have to go to the hospital. It's so thick. Like, that's what she said. Oh my gosh. I wish I could show you guys exactly what we're dealing with here. Oh my gosh. If I was trying to sell this online right now, it'd be like, has a hairline crack. Commonly associated with the standard wear pattern. We're in business. Got it. Whew.
And with that, good night, everybody.
That is how it's done. No, I'm not even all the way through. Most of the way through.
How it's done.
Okay, here we go. Oof. All things considered, not a bad bottle pop. The cork is in amazing shape. The nose.
Not bad.
The nose reminds me. I mean, it's very reminiscent of that barrel strength, 2018 barrel strength rye I have up there. But that was the cork nose, not the actual glass nose. All right. Thank you guys for the super chats and the support. Much love. Here we go. I would have to taste this before I do the video anyway, so it's a privilege to share it with you all. I'll leave it. You can see it. So this is, this is 46.4% alcohol by volume. 10-year-old Kentucky rye. Ooh. They do such a good job with their ryes. I mean, it's spices and notes that I don't pull out of anything else. It's crazy sweet, but it's not like I don't go like, oh, it's cinnamon. It's not straightforward cinnamon. It literally smells like nothing I've ever smelled before. So, like trying to draw an adjacency to that is difficult. I mean, it's some leather, like the age on this, that at least 10-year-old, which the 2020 Michter's rye was rumored to be, I think, as much as 14 years old. So you get some leather and some barrel char, but it's not over oaked by any stretch of the imagination based on the nose. You get this dried fruit, kind of pruny, but almost brighter than that. It's like raspberries and prunes mixed together into one fruit because it's a one pronounced nose. It's not like a layer there, or one pronounced note in that fruitiness. Strawberries, maybe. Matt just jumped on. Matt, maybe you haven't been on. Starlight Pigs should be up for sale within the next 2 weeks. So we just received word they've been bottled. We're getting them shipped over to the retailer. We'll let the Patreon community know. Thanks for asking. So lots of complexity in this nose. Like I feel like I can search it out for a while. But oak, leather, strawberries, prunes, and raspberries, dried, like a deep, very sweet. But then it's also got rye. Like, okay, it's definitely spicy. Kind of a licorice, but not heavy licorice, a suggestion of licorice. All right, let's get on the palate. That always helps. Very viscous. Viscous meaning big, creamy mouthfeel. Some bubble gum, but I like that. What's with the hat throw?
Threw it at the camera. Oh, stop, Tom.
I'm 31. I feel like the palate matches the nose pretty dang well. It's maybe not quite as fruity. Like I want a little bit more like bring the fruit to life a little bit. But it would be great, I think, sipped by the fire. Like it's certainly a well-aged whiskey without being over oaked. The oak is more prevalent, like that barrel characteristic, almost like a toasted finished whiskey without being toasted. Like when you get a double-barreled whiskey, it's like, oh yeah, this is clearly double-barreled. You don't get that with this because it's not double-barreled, but you get that same level of like, oh yeah, this has sat there for quite some time. I'm gonna have to sit with it more. I'm trying to pull out more notes, but I may just have palate fatigue right now. Like after tasting so many whiskeys.
Uh-oh.
I don't mean to cop out. Give myself a second. Taste some water. We got 10 minutes before we sign off, so. Brian, what kind of news do we have? I've got to work for Patreon community in the next 3 days. I have to design and order the first round of tasters, which we were going to. Oh, yeah, right here. We'll order these. So this is the plan, to order neat tasters because everybody does Glencairns. Good for them. I like Glencairns, but I also like these guys. So we're going to order some neat tasters for the Patreon supporters. And those will get shipped out next month. So we're in April already. So in May, that's the plan. I'll let you know if there's any delay, but I want to make sure that we honor the 3 month for those of you who've already been supporting 3 months. We opened things up in February. So February, April, May, 3 months. And then the barrel picks. We already mentioned that as well. Yeah. This is darn good. I do need to come back to it though. Like, I feel like after all the whiskey I've had tonight, it's hard for me to like really give this a fair shake. Maple syrup, but it's like a funky maple syrup. And I don't know what the funk is. That's what I'm stuck with on this whiskey is the Michter's barrel strength rye doesn't seem quite as funky, and it may be an age thing as the 10-year right now. There's a funky note, which I don't not like. I attributed it to licorice before, but it's a little bit more woody than licorice. So it's probably like this kind of wood that I need to try and find. Like, what is that? Or a kind of nut that I'm just failing to nail right now. But that's fine. All right. We can do a little Q&A before we wrap this sucker up. Or requests. So any questions for Brian or I before we sign her off? Eric McFarland says tasters are better than Glens. I think it depends on the night for me. Like the kind of glass I reach for, whether it's a fat bottom glass or a taster or a Glen, or even I like kind of these Four Roses. I don't know what it is, but I'll use this sometimes. It just depends on the night. Sometimes I'll even go with this. This thing must hold 8 ounces. But it's what I started with, actually. It was one of the first tumbler style glasses I had. So I'll go back to that. Almost out of nostalgia. I don't use it much, though. I will use it for cocktails. If I'm making old fashioned, I'll like make it in that. Not like I make cocktails a lot, but... Daniel Pennington says, so I have a local craft, quote unquote, who sources from MGP. Will his brand suffer for not being a local Tennessee bourbon he bottles in East Tennessee? Who is it? Maybe. It might suffer or it might not. If he sustains his brand, like by sourcing and then continuing to source and delivering great MGP to the area, no, it won't suffer. If he transitions from sourcing to bottling his own distillate, and his own distillate sucks, and he hasn't been transparent that he was sourcing from MGP, will that hurt his brand? It might. So 2 case studies to look at would be MGP, not MGP, good grief, where am I? Old Scout. So Old Scout out of Virginia, Smooth Ambler, or New Riff out of Ohio / Kentucky, technically Kentucky. So New Riff was sourcing MGP under the OKI brand, and they built up a very loyal customer base. And then they turned off the OKI brand and turned on New Riff, and their distillate was very good, and they transitioned very well. And having sourced from MGP didn't help them or didn't hurt them; it helped them. Smooth Ambler was sourcing MGP for their Old Scout brand and built their brand through that whiskey. And they did a great job. It was great. I have some of it behind me, right there. It's awesome stuff. And then they released their own whiskey, and it sucked. And it was a very similar brand, from the yearling stuff to the contradiction. It looked very similar. It was not very good. And so did that hurt their brand? 100%. It really hurt their brand. The change from OKI to New Riff was so drastic visually and in the presentation of the whiskey. It's hard to mistake one for the other. And they were clear as a company, we're stopping this and we're doing this. Smooth Ambler was not as clear. And because the aesthetic of their bottles harkened back to the MGP Old Scout, you're like, oh, this should be comparable. And it was the farthest thing from comparable. And so then you're like, no, I don't trust Smooth Ambler as much anymore. That was my experience. So I became a fan of New Riff. I did not, as much as I wanted to, be as a fan of Smooth Ambler's Contradiction release, their big level release. I just couldn't do it because I didn't like the stuff. Whereas I liked the New Riff juice, and it was very clearly a different. It wasn't trying to be what they were doing before. So I think it depends, but I think those are two good case studies. Great question. That was probably a long answer, but let's see if we have any other questions. Whiskey Wiggle says, anyone try the Scotch glass from Whiskey? No. So Norland, interesting glass conversation here. Norland has their new tumbler, the Rock, which I want one of those. Those things, I think it's like heavy. It weighs like pounds. And it looks really dope. So I don't really want the Norland whiskey glass, the taster. It just seems like too much. But the Norland Rock glass, just for like fun, it's RAUK. If you guys haven't seen that, you should take a look at it. It looks really rad. William says, have you had Chattanooga whiskey single barrel? I have not. I've had the 111 proof. Do you consider Chattanooga craft whiskey? 100%. Yeah. They're 111, very high malt, very scotchy. I enjoyed it. I can go back to it. If I got the craving for it, it's definitely not an everyday whiskey for me, but I'm interested to try more Chattanooga stuff in the future. Daniel, going back to that MGP thing, he says, I love MGP. His brand is TN Distillery. He only sources and bottles. Locals will be pissed. But good MGP will expand reach. Yeah. I mean, and the locals, like generally, your general whiskey consumer who's going to go to a local distillery, they probably don't know the difference. Like the fact that you're watching this video, you're one of very few people who really care to know where their whiskey comes from. Tom says, what do you think of Nelson's Greenbrier? They're taking a route similar to New Riff with Belle Meade transition to Greenbrier. Yeah, I don't even think they're transitioning. I think they have such a long, like a big deal worked out with MGP that they're pretty well stocked on MGP for a long time. So I think they're going to run Belle Meade alongside the Nelson Greenbrier 107 brand. I've not had NGB. They're like their own whiskey. Heard it was good. Like the reception was decent, but I've not had it. But I'm a big fan of Belle Meade for sure. But they do a really good job with the MGP sourcing. Better than most I've had. Have you had the NGB, Brian?
I don't even think Belle Meade was some of my favorite MGP distilled stuff either from what I've tried. I thought some of the barrels were fine, but I also was not at a place where I could access like a whole ton of single barrels to really OKI for a little bit, and it kind of quickly realized that some barrels were highly variable compared to others, and by that time it was already like that craze had already started. I couldn't afford it or keep up with it. So
I've got two Belle Meade single barrels that I looked into, both of them. One of them was one from, when was that bottled? Shoot, hold on, guys. Wait. Okay, so I've got one that was bottled in 2014. And I walked into a liquor store in Chicago, and it was on the shelf for like $45. And
nice.
I was just walking through all these liquor stores in like the city of Chicago. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take that. That sounds great. And then the 12-year, Well, when the E.H. Taylor single barrels were a more modest secondary price, I just traded an E.H. Taylor single barrel for a 12-year Bellmead single barrel. Now mine is my Bellmead 12-year single barrel is probably worth more on secondary, but I loved the Old Scout, so I'm like, Bellmead's the same stuff. Let's go. But I haven't opened either one of them yet because I'm kind of nervous. It's a single barrel. Is it going to be good? Is it worth opening, or is it worth the secondary value of it? And, should I trade it and try and get some VTAC or something? I don't know. We'll see. See what the days ahead hold. It depends really on what the video content we drop is too. Like some of this stuff I open because we're going to do a video on it. The Michter's is a good example of that. Like Michter's, I think, is a really interesting story in whiskey, and that Michter's 10 brand is a lot of fun. So that 10-year rye against the 10-year bourbon, I think it depends really on whether you're a rye person or a bourbon person. That's a little bit of what I'll get into in the video. But then, we'll see what I think is better versus what I like better too. That might be a different answer too. It's like, what's my critical assessment of it versus what's my personal preference. All right, squad. We got some ideas that Brian and I are going to kick around. So next week we may be tackling, more story-oriented stuff. But for those of you who are following the craft whiskey journey, hopefully you enjoyed the lot of whiskeys that I tried out. I'll go back and count later, but I think I'm up to 47. I'm at least at 45. I may be up to 47. So we're making good headway. We're 3 months in. We're almost halfway there. I do think the first push, like the push to 60, 65 is going to be half the battle. And so it'll probably take me until the end of April to get there. And then it'll probably take me the rest of the year to get to 100 because that first push is probably the easiest. Let me see how many I have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 13 more craft whiskey samples. So, yeah, that'll get us close to 60. So far, the top few that we've got, we have the Fiddler single barrel pick that I mentioned before. We had that tonight. That's in the top 4. Then we have a Starlight pick, not one of the ones that Brian and I did, but we'll taste that on a live stream soon. Who knows? Those may earn their way into the top ones. But a Starlight barrel pick bourbon, 4.5-year-old, a Middle West cask strength single barrel, the Miquelon Reserve, and then finally a Nulu single barrel. So it's all self-distilled stuff with the exception of the Nulu. The Nulu is MGP. So I like that. 3 self-distilled and 1 MGP. That's what we got so far. So thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for hanging out with us. Appreciate that. Probably drink less, at least less samples, less variable whiskeys on the next stream. But tune in Monday to get that full rundown of the Michter's 10 bourbon versus Michter's 10 rye. If you haven't already, go back and watch the video from last Monday, the Rare Breed 101 brand overview. I think you'll learn something. Like, even if you like those brands already, like those Monday videos, I try and go in a lot of detail on the history of the product, why it's significant, how it became what it is. So check that out for sure. Love you guys. Thanks so much for your support. We'll catch you very, very soon on the podcast on the Mondays. But stay healthy, stay safe, and remember to keep it neat. Cheers, y'all.
See you guys.